If you know much about the Essex boys case, then you've likely heard of the name Billy Jasper. Billy from Canning Town was arrested on the 15th of January 1996. Upon arrival at the police station, Billy told detectives what he said was the truth behind the murders of Patrick Tate, Anthony Tucker and Craig Rolfe in Rettendon, Essex, just 5 weeks before. Billy said he was paid to drive the person who killed them on the night of the murders. He said he picked up a stolen vehicle from Canning Town, picked up the assassin, who then gave him directions to a minicab office in Upminster, where the assassin picked up a Browning pistol. He was then told to drive to the Rettendon area, but instead of driving to Workhouse Lane itself, he was told to drive to Rectory Lane, where the man got out of the vehicle and crossed the fields with a bag containing a shotgun. He later returned with 2 bags, the other apparently containing cocaine. Billy stated this was around midnight to 1 a.m. He then dropped off the killer and was later paid £5,000 for the driving. He took officers to Rectory Lane, who took notes, and Billy also made a 12-page statement where he named the assassin and the ones behind the planning. He also had 2 police interviews, which have been online for the last few years. In 1997, Billy was made to attend the trial of Michael Steele and Jack Wymes, who had been arrested for the murders of Tate, Tucker and Rolfe. In this video, we take a look at what was said from Billy when he appeared in court at the trial. Please give your full name. William George Jasper. Mr. Jasper, is it right you are only here because the defence in this case obtained a witness statement to bring you here? Yes. Can I ask you this? Were you seen by the police in January 1996? Yes. In connection with matters that affected you? Yeah. During the course of the time you were with the police, were you interviewed? Yes. During that period of time, January 1996, did you give to the police an oral and indeed a written account of matters that you said you'd been involved with at Rettendon on the night of the 6th of December 1995? Yes. Did you give a detailed account? Yes. Did it cover the whole of the evening of the 6th of December 1995? Yes. Up till what time, please? It's hard to remember. I cannot hear. Up till... It's hard to remember. Hard to remember, my lord, was the evidence. Where were you, in fact, on the evening of the 6th of December 1995? Hard to remember. Hard to remember. Do you know the defendant, Michael Steele? No. Have you ever seen him before? No. Or been in any sort of communication with him? No. What about the man sitting in the middle of the 3, in the front row? Do you recognise him? No. Ever seen him before? No. Ever been in any sort of communication with him? No. When were you first made aware that you might be required to give evidence in this trial? Yesterday. Was that as a result of you being served with a witness summons? No. Just told. You were just told where you were going. The matters that you spoke about to the police, and indeed put in writing, is this going to be an admissible question, Mr. Parkins? My lord, I think it is, yes. Do not answer, please. I was simply going to ask that it was in connection with any particular incident at Rettendon. No more than that, my lord. The evidence from this witness is he was asked about. Yes, then I will not ask the question. I do not want to ask a question that is not admissible, yes. Stay there, Mr. Jasper. Mr. Jasper, So there is no mystery about this. You was arrested, I think, on the 15th of January 1996. Probably. Well, in connection with a matter about which I am not going to ask you at all. Do you follow? It is a fact that you were arrested for another matter. You indicated that you wished to speak. Just a moment, Mr. Lederman. How is this admissible? This is what a witness is saying to someone else. Members of the jury, would you like to leave, please? Mr. Jasper, you will now be asked the first question. When it is asked of you, it will be up to you to decide what your course is. Put the question, Mr. Lederman. Mr. Jasper, my first question to you is this. Are you in fear? I'm not prepared to answer that. On the 15th, he said he is not prepared to answer that. Yes, go on. On the 15th of January, 1996, Mr. Jasper, as a fact, did you leave the Forest Gate police station at 3:10 p.m. with police officers? I'm not prepared to answer that. Did you go to the Palms Motel on the A127 at Haynet? I'm not prepared to answer that. Did you point out to police officers an address, Windmill Cars, near Upminster? I'm not prepared to answer that. Did you go to the Retterton Turnpike? I'm not prepared to answer. Did you go to a village called Battlesbridge? No comment. Would you be kind enough to look, please, in our jury bundle? The white bundle, at page 3. Let the witness be given exhibit 3. Usher, he has the bundle, my lord. Would you turn to page 3, Mr. Jasper? It is a map. Do you have it, Mr. Jasper, please? I wonder if the usher could assist. It looks like this. Perhaps Usher, I wonder if you could help the witness by pointing out Rectory Lane on that plan. Usher, which one is it, my lord? I do not think that is exhibit 3. It is this one. That is the one, is it? Yes. Do the jury have that sheet? Rectory Lane is here. We see there is Woodham Lane and Rectory Lane there. Did you direct the police up that lane? But, sorry, the question was, did he go to Rectory Lane first? I do not think he answered. Put it again. Did you go with police officers to Rectory Lane? No comment. Sorry? No comment. No comment. Did you point out to the police a gate by a field in Rectory Lane? No comment. I think further matters of law arise at this stage, Mr. Lederman. Members of the jury, I have to ask you to go out again, I'm afraid. Would you retire for the moment? You are still on your oath. Mr. Jasper, can I first of all tell you this? I'm not asking you questions at the moment with any intention of you incriminating yourself. Do you follow? This is my first question. Are you an associate of major criminals? Yes. Criminals concerned with major robberies? Sometimes. Criminals concerned with drugs? Sometimes. Drugs including cocaine? Sometimes. Drugs involving sums of £300,000, that sort of amount? Sometimes. Criminals who have no inhibitions about shooting each other if things fall out? That is correct. You wrote your own statement, did you not? Yes. At the Forest Gate police station, in which you named some of those criminals. Yeah. One of whom, do you know, has recently himself been killed? No? You did not know it? No. Would you prefer me not to name the names that you named? Yeah. Would it be true for you to tell me that you are frightened of them? Could not say. And that is the reason why you do not want to name them? Could not say. That is why you prefer me not to? That's right. Then I will not. You would not have described, or would you, their false involvement? No. In a killing, if that was not correct, would you? No. Because to do so would almost inevitably mean that you yourself would be shot, right or wrong. Could happen. And indeed, Mr. Lederman, could you take it slower, please? I am sorry. Indeed, did you express that concern in your statement? Yeah. When you were last here, we went through a map of a journey. Do you remember it? Yeah. A journey which ended in Rectory Lane. I don't know the name of the road. As a fact, please, did you twice take police officers on a journey? Once or twice. Was it you, please, who directed them? That is correct. And did you subsequently confirm that the directions were at your direction? Yeah. Was it out of fear that you were unwilling to admit to us that you had undertaken that journey on the last occasion you were in the witness box? You could say that. Fear for the reasons we have already discussed. Yeah. Are you now willing to tell us whether that journey that you showed the police was a journey that in fact you had undertaken before? Is the answer to my question yes, please, or no? Yes. And so you were describing by way of pointing out the route, something in respect of which you were a witness? Correct. The car that you were in, and I'm now referring to the journey you made as a witness, do you follow? Yeah. The car that you were in, was that a stolen car? Yeah. And could you tell us please its make? A Fiat Uno Turbo. A Fiat which? Uno. Turbo. Was it one man or two men who were in that car during that journey? One man. Apart from one man, was there a holdall in the car? Yeah. Are you able to tell us what was in that holdall? Yeah. What? Sawn-off shotgun and a handgun. And a handgun. Was that a pump-action shotgun? It was. Could you tell my lord and this jury, please, how you saw what was in the holdall? Looked in it. Do you know whether that holdall stayed in the car throughout that journey? No, it never. What happened to it? It was took by a person. Where? Down the country lane. Did you see where that person went? Over a gate and into a field. Did that person return? He did. With the holdall? With two holdalls. With two holdalls. Had there been two holdalls before? No. Were you able to see whether both holdalls contained anything on return? No. Where were they put? On the floor, the passenger side, the front seat. In which direction? Sorry. Were you the driver? Yeah. And the driver throughout? Yeah. In which direction did you then drive? Back towards Essex, more or less. Woodford way. Sorry, Ilford. Woodford way. Woodford. Do you mean driving on a road called Woodford Way, or going in the Woodford direction? The direction. To get it clear, on the return journey, was there one other man, or more in the car? Just one. And without going into too much detail, in what area, or what sort of address did you drop that person? A wine bar. Were you paid for driving that stolen car? Yeah. How much? 5,000. Sorry? 5,000. When had you been asked to do this? A week or less before? A week, maybe less. No, sir. A week or less before, my lord. Were you asked, and tell me if you were not, please, by the man who accompanied you in the car, or someone else? No, it was someone else. Are you prepared to name that someone else? No. Are you prepared to name the man in the car? No. Apart from seeing two guns, did you see any gloves? Yeah. Where? On someone's hands. Not asking for names. Okay, whom? The passenger. On the journey out or the journey back? Both. Or both. Both. What sort of gloves? Hospital gloves. Sorry? Hospital gloves. When you set out on this journey, please am I right or am I not right, that you had not seen the contents of the holdall when you set out? That is correct. When you set out, was the holdall in the car? Yeah. When did you see the contents? About halfway through the journey, when the passenger got out to meet someone. Was there a break in the journey, when the person went to meet someone? That is correct, yeah. Are you prepared to tell us in what area that was? Upminster area. Upminster. What time of day or night are we talking about? Round midnight sometime? Round about midnight. Use the phrase some or sometime. Yeah. We all have perhaps different meanings of that. Would you, an hour before, or an hour after? Roughly, how long did it take to get from Upminster to the lane? About half an hour, something like that. So you could have arrived, would this be right or would this be wrong, at the lane at approximately midnight? Around that time. What did you say? Around that time. When you got into the car, having agreed to do the drive, and would you wait until I finished the question, because I am going to say something else, do you follow? Did you know the purpose for which you were driving by, and saying something else, and perhaps interfering with my lord's rulings, if you feel you would incriminate yourself? You need not answer. Did you know the purpose for which you were driving by, and saying something else? It was against the law. I do not understand the question now, I'm afraid. Put the question again, and remember that you don't have to say anything which incriminates you. Put the question again. When you set out on that journey, it having been arranged approximately a week before, do you follow? Did you know the purpose of that journey? And I ask you that, that you need not incriminate yourself. No answer. After the man had returned, when you were in the lane with the 2 bags, did you understand from him, "No, that is straight hearsay"? My lord, I am sorry to trouble the jury. My lord, in my submission. Can I ask you this please, Mr. Jasper? When the man returned to the car in the lane, right? I am sorry, it is my fault. When the man returned to the car in which you were sitting in the lane. Yeah. Yes? Yeah, go on. And then got into the car. Which seat did he get in? The passenger seat. Was there any incident that happened in relation to you, your driving, as you then went back towards Upminster, over the bridge? Over the bridge? Do you know what bridge that is? Not off by heart, no. How far was the lane from the bridge? A couple of minutes, a minute. Would you please be kind enough to look at the plan that will be provided to you in the jury white bundle? If you look at page 3, do you have page 3? In square B, you have a place called Battlesbridge. In Battlesbridge Station, does that mean anything to you, Battlesbridge? Please get your bearings. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Just looking at that plan for a moment. Do you see if you go up Summit Hill, you get to the Rettendon Turnpike? Do you see? Yeah. Then you turn right to Woodham Road. Up Woodham Road, left to Rectory Lane. Now it is there that I suggest you twice took the police. Looking at the plan again and speaking and answering questions to me today, do you agree that is right? Possibly, yeah. The bridge there must be over the River Crouch. Are you able to help us whether it was that river or some other place, or do you not know? I can't remember. However, was it anything to do with the incident? Can you help us about that? Didn't give way at a give way sign? There was a give way sign. Yeah. Were you supposed to give way? Yeah. Did you give way? No. Was your passenger happy or unhappy? He wasn't unhappy. Just things you do not tell us anything that was said. Did he indicate anything to you? Yes or no? Yeah. Hearsay, Mr. Lederman. I'm not going to ask you, my lord. As your lordship knows, that I will not ask hearsay questions. Mr. Lederman, I do not know that because of the form of question. A question, talking about did he indicate, is another way of asking for hearsay. My lord, what I was seeking, would you just be careful, Mr. Lederman, that you do not ask for hearsay. What I am seeking, please to do, if I may, is not ask you, you hear this loud and clear, not ask you about what was said, but asking you to recount, if you can, the events of the journey. Do you follow? Not what was said, but what happened, right? Would you be kind enough to answer it, so as to get it on a shorthand note? Do you follow what I'm asking? I do. I'm asking what happened on the way back. I didn't give any way, a give way sign. Right. During this journey, are you able to describe, not but what was said, but what you saw or heard? The demeanour. What you heard was in that question, Mr. Lederman. In my respectful submission, I am entitled to ask this witness whether he is able to give this jury an impression of the demeanour of the witness. There may or may not be relevance to it, but if there is, you may ask the question which does not call for evidence of what a third person said. When you include in the question, despite my express instruction to you, my words by what happened, you saw, or what you heard, it is a clear invitation to the witness to breach the hearsay rule. My lord, it was not. With great respect, it was an invitation to ask the witness as to whether he could conclude a result of what was said to the man's demeanour, not the words. That was my submission. Very well. Would you ask that question without saying what you heard? Can you answer that question? Frustrated. Can you elaborate on that? No. Subsequently, we know that you was arrested at Forest Gate Police Station. Yeah. And it was at Forest Gate Police Station. Just answer this question, yes or no, that you spoke to the police. Yeah. Now, you was arrested, I think, on the 15th of January 1996. Something like that. It is a matter of record, and arrested for another matter as a fact. Did you speak to the police about the evidence that you have given to my lord and jury today? Yeah. Did you then go on a journey with the police? We've already been over that. Yeah, I have to come to something else though. Yeah. Right, after the first journey, were you interviewed by the police on tape? Yeah, possibly. On tape, I believe that DC Chapel said to you that you had mentioned the 5th. The actual incidents that we are concerned with are obviously the 6th and the 7th, which is Wednesday and Thursday. So what sort of time, what sort of date would you put it? End of November? Middle of November? Had you actually got into December? Think back. What sort of day or week was it? Because I do not know. You had a meeting in a restaurant or something, you know? That is what was said to you, Mr. Jasper, and you said this. About the end of November, something like that. Not too keen on dates. Was that true? You've lost me there. I am sorry. I am asking you, Mr. Jasper, about what you said in an interview which was taped to the police as to when this incident occurred. Do you follow? Yeah. And you said in reply to the police officer making this statement, you said about the end of November, something like that. Not too keen on dates. That was what you said to the police on the 17th of January. Do you follow? Yeah. We know that it is on the tape. Is it correct that this incident, as best as you can remember, as you said to the police on the 17th of January, 1995, the incident that you have described, is it correct as best you can remember that it took place about the end of November? Something like that. Is that true or false? I can't remember what it is. You cannot remember? I can't remember saying that. If you did say it, how does it, in 1997, in November, accord with your memory? He has just said, I cannot remember. The question is talking about according with a memory. He has just said, I can't remember. It may be my fault. Are you saying you cannot remember at all when this incident happened? Or are you saying you cannot remember what you said to the police? I can't really remember the actual words that I said to the police. Fine. Can you help us, please, as best as you can? When did this incident happen? What, talking to the police or other things? No, the journey with the guns. End of November, beginning of December. Right. Do you remember today what the weather was like? Cold. Sorry? Cold. You have said you are unwilling to name the names. That's right. If I pressed you, would you be prepared to name the first name of this person? No. Just wait there. No questions. Mr. Jasper, before today, when you came into court, have you ever had any communication or contact with any of these defendants directly or indirectly? No, not at all. No, not at all. Do you know them? No, not at all. Not at all. None of them are friends or acquaintances of yours, are they? No, not at all. Have you ever had any communication with them whilst you have been in court today? No, not at all. Are you sure about that? Positive. Do you remember, just before lunch, about 10 to 1, the jury went out? Do you remember that happening? Not really. No? You were standing in the witness box when the jury left? Yes, that is the time. Do you remember that? Yeah. Can you remember what you did as they were going out? No? No? Did you not look at the dock? Just looking. It's a room, isn't it? It is a room. It is a room with a dock in it, is it not? Yeah. You know what a dock looks like? Yeah. When the jury were going out, did you look over at the dock? Probably. Probably. And do you remember what you did when you looked over at the dock? No, just walking past. Never mind that. Do you remember what you did when you looked over at the dock? No, not at all. You do not? You winked, did you not? At who? At the dock. Rubbish. Rubbish? You say it did not happen? Yeah. You have told the jury about a night you went somewhere in Essex, and you've had a map put in front of you. I think you still have it open. Is that right? Page 3. Yes. Before the night that you have just been telling us about, have you ever been to that area before? No. No. So this was the first time, was it? Yeah. When you went there that night, and you told us about being in the car with the man, and going to the lane, and there being a field, did you know what the area was called? After. You knew after, but did you know at that night? No. No. You can drive from A to B, and do not know the area. Yeah, of course. But I just want to ask you, whether on that night you knew where you were. I wasn't lost, put it that way. You were not lost, but you did not know the name of the area that you were in. Rettendon. Rettendon. Did you know that night? Or was that something you learned about later? On the way home. On the way home. You had told us already that you were spoken to by some policemen in January 1996. Do you remember? Yeah. And do you remember they were asking about where you said you had been? Do you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember that before you went out anywhere with a policeman, while you was at Forest Gate Police Station, you were shown a map, were you not? That is correct. Sorry, what was that? Correct. Do you know why the policeman showed you the map? to see if I could probably point the place out. That is right. Did you point anywhere out on the map? I can't remember. You cannot remember. Let me see if I can help you. If you turn into the white bundle that you have before you, Mr. Jasper, we have at page 1, you would have to go back a couple of pages, a map showing a larger area of Essex than the one you were looking at a few minutes ago. Just familiarise yourself with that. London is in the left-hand corner. Ipswich is right at the top on the right-hand side. Have you acquainted yourself with it? Yeah. Was the map that you were shown when you was at the police station something like this? Could have been. When you was at the police station on this occasion, do I take it you had read in the papers or heard on the news about the killing of 3 men? Say that again? On the day that you was at the police station in January 1996, I take it that before then you had read in the newspapers or seen on the television the report of the 3 men being killed in the car. Is that right? Yeah, I think everybody did. Everybody had. Did you know when you read the papers where it said that the killings had taken place? More or less, yeah. And where was that? Where was what? Where it took place? Yes. What did the report say? Essex area, wasn't it? Essex. Anything more specific than Essex that you remember from the reports? No, not really. Not really. It's not something really that you dwell over. It's a natural day occurrence in my life, things like that, so you don't really dwell on them. You cannot remember, you say, when you were first shown a map by a policeman, what you did, is that right? Did you point somewhere out, though? Do you remember doing that? Pointing somewhere? Can't remember. You cannot remember. Can you find Chelmsford on that map, please? Yeah. Have you got Chelmsford? Yeah. If you follow, you put your finger on the O in Chelmsford, right? And you just trace down with your finger in a straight line from the O, about half an inch. Do you see the words Hall Green? Yeah. Does that ring a bell? No. No. Was that not the area that you pointed out to the policeman when he first gave you a map and asked you where the killings had taken place? Do you remember that now? Maybe. Maybe. Do you remember being asked to describe the area where the killings took place? Maybe. Can you remember whether there was anything close by? To where? The lane? Yes. No. It's a garden nursery. A garden nursery. And a car sale place. Do you remember that? Yeah. You do. Did the policeman before you were taken? I will ask you about your journey. I can't remember word for word. You have told Mr. Lederman about something that happened on the way back from the lane. Do you remember? About the give way sign? Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Is that all that happened on the way back? Or did something else happen? Phone call. Phone call? Anything else? Did anybody get out of the car? After? Yes, on the way back. I don't think so. Do you remember telling the policeman that something had happened on the way back? Can't remember. Can you remember telling the policeman that the man you were with dropped something in a river? I don't know about dropping it in a river, because I couldn't see where the river was, if there was a river. I'm not asking. Do you remember telling the policeman, before you ever went out anywhere at all, that on the way back, the man you were with dropped something in a river? I can't remember saying that. You cannot remember saying that. Did anything else like that happen? Not prepared to say. You are not prepared to say. Why are you not prepared to tell us if the man got out of the car? Just not prepared to say. Not prepared, right. Can you help us as to what time of the day it was we are talking about when you arrived at the lane? Round about 12ish. Midnight? Yeah. Could you remember what day of the week this happened? No. What night are we talking about? Whether it was a weekday night or weekend night? Could you not say? No. Can you remember the route that you and the man you say took you from the London area up Minster in order to get to the lane? Not off by heart, no. Not off by heart. Do you remember that the policeman took you out and asked you to tell them where to go? Probably, yeah. Do you remember that when the policeman took you out on the route, that you ended up at the Retterton Turnpike, that is the big roundabout with traffic lights? Does that ring a bell? No. Do you have your white binder open, please, at the same map, number 1? Can you remember what road you directed the policeman along? No. Do you know the A127 at all? No. The A127 Wanstead? Probably, yeah. Probably. Do you know where it goes to? Is that the Wanstead Road? Could you point it out on the map for us, please? Not any good at reading maps. You are not? Okay. Well, perhaps we can take you firstly to the roundabout. If you turn to page 3 in the white binder, you have the map you were looking at earlier. Do you see it is square 2B, the Retterton Turnpike roundabout? Yeah. As you arrived at that roundabout from the general direction of London, can you remember where you told the policeman to go? I think we went past it at first. I couldn't get my bearings. You could not get your bearings. Could you remember where you went past to? No. Did you end up in Battlesbridge? Does that ring a bell? No. No. But anyway, having gone past it, did you go back then onto the roundabout for a second time in the police car? I turned around. You turned round. You got back to the Rettendon Turnpike, which we can see there, yes? Yeah. When you got back to the turnpike for a second time, where did you tell the policeman to drive to then? Can't remember. Can I help you? You told him to drive up here on the A130, going towards the top of this plan. Do you remember? That's where I told him I turned around, yeah. That is when you got back to the roundabout the second time, having got it wrong the first time, having failed to get your bearings. The second time you got to the roundabout, you went up the A1230 towards the top of the page. Do you remember? No, I can't remember. In fact, looking at the map, you went straight off the page. Does that ring a bell? No. I'm afraid we will have to go back. If you would, to page number 1. I want you to please find Wickford. It is quite close to the bottom of the page. I am pointing to it here, if it helps. Just about there. It is in capital letters. Do you have it? Yeah. If you see the word Wickford, and you go about half an inch diagonally to the right, you get... Do you see the word Battlesbridge? Yes. Just above Battlesbridge, where I am pointing, the little circle in the middle of the road, that is the Rettendon Turnpike. Do you have it? Yeah. The road you can follow up with your finger. It goes past Rettendon, which is printed on the right, and it goes up to a place called near to Hanningfield. Do you see Hanningfield? Yeah. We can see that there is a crossroads there. You see it where there is a road that comes across? Yeah. Do you remember that is where you took the police car to that crossroads? Not by looking at the map, I couldn't know. Sorry, I did not hear. Not by looking at the map. Because do you remember that you said something to the policeman? Can you remember what it was that you said? You said to him, I remember those crossroads. That is right, is it not? Could have been. But there's loads of crossroads. Did you carry on as far as the petrol station, close to a pub called the Plough? Does that ring a bell? Is this before we turn round? I asked them to turn round. This was before you asked them to turn round. That is right. It's not a fixture in my head. No, I appreciate that. Do you remember going past the crossroads and going to a petrol station by a pub called the Plough? No, not necessarily. But in any event, I think what you do remember is that you asked the driver to turn around, did you not? Yeah. So to go back along the A130, now going south in the opposite direction. You remember that? Coming back. Coming back? What was it you were looking for at that stage? Do you remember? Just certain objects to get my bearings. What sort of objects? Could be a road, could have been a slip road, could have been a lane, could have been a number of things. Do you remember saying to the policeman, that farm must be round here somewhere? Well, I think the policeman was saying that to himself. The policeman was saying that. But were you looking for a farm in your mind? No, not really. Do you remember what the policeman said to you? Because you was a bit unsure, were you not? A bit uncertain about where you were going, is that right? It was a big thing to say, wasn't it? Of course. So there was other problems in my head, not just thinking about other things. You were just thinking about other things, not just this. Enough things. Do you remember the policeman said to you he was not going to tell you where to go? He wanted you to tell him. Do you remember that? That's obvious, isn't it? You went all the way back, did you not? For the third time to the Rettendon Turnpike roundabout. Do you remember? No. Do you remember that? No. You do not remember that. You have page 3 again, our smaller map. You would have come down here, would you not? When you turned around the car. The police car, that is, Mr. Jasper. And do you remember that this time you told the policeman to turn left, and that is Woodham Road? Does that ring a bell? No. Not the name of the road, no. Not the name of the road. But if you follow with your finger along Woodham Road, there is a nursery. Do you see it? Yeah. Nurseries. Yeah. Was this something that rang a bell? Yes, it was. And if you go to the RD in the abbreviation for road, you see that the left-hand turn is Rectory Lane. Do you see that? Yeah. Does any of that ring a bell? No names ring no bells. But do you remember going up Rectory Lane in the police car? Can't really remember. You cannot remember? Could have done. I do not know whether you can help us. If you were to look at the map, can you point out to us approximately whereabouts the gate was that you said you stopped at? Was Rectory Lane the name of the lane we stopped? You cannot remember? No, I can't remember the actual name. Whatever you did stop on, Take it for a moment it was Rectory Lane, alright? If that is the road you went up, can you help us to approximately how far? You were the one that's saying that was the road I went up. I don't know the actual name of a road. Would you be good enough to take it from me, for the time being, that is the road you went up in the police car, alright? That looks more like a road than a lane to me. It looks more like a road than a lane to you. Can I ask you this then? What side of the road was the gate as they drove up in the police car? Left or right? Both sides. Both sides? Did you stop on the left or on the right? They were both together, opposite each other. So you have a gate on the left-hand side of the road and a gate on the right-hand side of the road. Going back to the night that you have been telling us about, that you were in the car with the man you do not want to name, when you stopped that night by the gate, did you stop by the gate on the left or the gate on the right? I think more so to the left. More so to the left. You're talking of a lane about 8 foot, 10 foot wide. Did you have to leave the road to get to the lane? Can you remember if you did? Yeah, came off the road. The man who got out of the car, you say, did he climb the gate? Yeah. Which gate did he climb over? The left gate. The left gate. What did you do in the car, did you say? Turned around, waited. And about how long did you wait for? Half hour, something like that? 3/4 of an hour? No more, really. So does this mean the time is now getting on for 1 o'clock in the morning? Round about that time. Round about that time. Was there anything close to the lane? Any houses? At the bottom, yeah. There were houses. Yeah, but on the night I didn't drive down that far. On the night, you did not drive down that far. How close to the gate did you drive? Normal, I suppose you could say. How close to the gate was it you drove to? A few feet. Could you see on the other side of the gate? A field. Could you see what was on the other side of the field? No. Are you a person whom has taken drugs in the past yourself? Yes. Mr. Jasper? Yes. What sort of drugs have you taken in the past? I think that's irrelevant. You do not want to tell us? I don't see what it has to do with it. If you do not want to tell us, you do not have to tell us. Do you remember that this night you were telling us about whether you took any drugs? I had a snort of coke. You had a snort of coke. Was this before you arrived at the gate? That's right. What about the man in the car? Did he have a snort of coke? Maybe. Who had the coke? Whose coke was it? Passenger. The passenger's. So he took the coke out? Yeah, he got it out. Are you saying you cannot remember whether he snorted any of his own coke? Not prepared to say. You're not prepared to say. Were you prepared to say when you were talking to the police in January 1996? Yeah. Did you tell the police in January 1996 whether the other man snorted coke? Yeah, he did. He did. That is what you told them? Yeah. That is what happened? Yeah. He did. Did he snort once or more than once? More than once. More than once. Did he snort before he got out of the car? Yeah, he did. What sort of effect can you tell us does coke have if you snort it? Keeps you awake. It keeps you awake. Were you tired? No, not really. What was the man wearing? Tracksuit. Is that tops and bottoms? Yeah. Upper half of his body? A tracksuit. Anything else? No, I don't think so. Gloves. I cannot hear. Gloves. He is gone, you think, for about 30 or 45 minutes, yes? Roughly, yeah. Roughly. You don't think at a time when you're just sitting there, you just wait. I take it you were not wearing a watch? I don't wear a watch. When the man came back, where did you drive to then? Towards Woodford. Towards Woodford. Towards London. More or less, not actually to London. When you was arrested by the police in January 1996, you was arrested for something else entirely, were you not? That is correct. I think you are now in prison, are you? That is correct. Were you prosecuted for the offences for which you was arrested? Yeah. Were you worried when you was arrested about what might happen to you? No, not really. As far as you knew, in January 1996, the man you were with that night, the night you've been telling us about, was he under arrest or anything as far as you knew? No. He was still out, as far as you knew. As far as I knew. He was not in trouble, as far as you knew. That's right. Until you told what you told the police in January, have you told anyone else about what happened that night? No. Do you know whether the other man had told anyone else what had happened that night? I don't know. You do not know that he had? No. So when you was arrested, although it was obviously something that no doubt you would have not wished to happen to you, you was quite happy that you were not arrested for what had happened this night, were you? Not necessarily. Because this is right, is it not, Mr. Jasper? You were not asked about that this night. You volunteered it, did you not? You were the first to mention it, is that right? Yes, could be, yeah. Yeah? To get an easy time for the law. To get an easy time from the law. But that never happened. I went to prison, but I'm still here, so I haven't gained nothing out of it. No, you have not. No. But you were hoping that you might gain something out of it. Yeah, of course. Of course. That is why you said what you said to the police, is it? That is correct. For an easy time. For an easy time. But I still got prosecuted. Went to prison. Went to prison. No favours. I'm still here today. Still here today. So I'm not gaining nothing. No. Because in fact, after you went out with the police, and after you were interviewed, they never got back to you about this, did they? The police. They never asked to see you again, to speak to you about this, did they? About what? About what you told them had happened this night. That's their problem. It may be their problem, but my question is, the police never got in touch with you again to ask you any more questions about it, did they? A couple of days' worth. You was at the police station for a couple of days, were you not? Yeah. And after that, they did not come back to you, did they? No, not necessarily. You were not arrested for anything that had happened that night, were you? Or prosecuted? No. That night, the night you were telling the police about. Did you ever hear of anything when you were waiting for 30 to 45 minutes with the car? Say that again? Did you hear anything? Any noises? No. Not a thing. Not anything that sticks in your mind. Nothing that sticks in your mind? No. Do you know what a gun firing sounds like? Yeah, I think everyone does. You were awake when you was in the car waiting? Yeah. You said you did not hear any gunshots, did you? That's right. Do you remember, many months ago, in fact earlier this year, when you was in prison serving your sentence, were you told that there was a case going to court about the shooting of 3 men? I can remember reading about it, that 3 men had been arrested. That was after it happened, was it? While you was in prison earlier this year? Because you will appreciate, will you not, Mr. Jasper, that a written record has been kept of the things that you were saying to the police when you were at Forest Gate Police Station. You knew that, did you not? Possibly, yeah. Possibly. And in fact, you'd made a handwritten statement, I think. Had you not? Yourself, in your own handwriting? Yeah, probably. Do you remember someone in the prison telling you that these documents were going to be disclosed by the prosecution in this case to the lawyers acting on behalf of the defendants in this case? Do you remember being told that? Say that again? Yes. That the documents had come into being, yeah, when you'd been at the police station in January 1996, were going to be given to the lawyers representing the defendants in this case. Do you remember being told that? Yeah. You do? Yeah. Do you remember when that was, Mr. Jasper? No. Earlier this year? Possibly. A few months ago. When did you first know you were coming to court to give evidence at this trial? Today is Friday. When the prison service was poking me in the back saying, "Get up, you've got to go to court." Was that earlier this week? Yeah. Before this week, did you know you would be giving evidence at this trial? No. Has anybody contacted you? I think the solicitors did. Which solicitors? Do you remember? Defence. When was that? That was through the probation service. Do you remember when? What? That was coming to court? Do you remember when you got this information that solicitors were trying to contact you through the probation service? How long ago before this week did that happen? Couple of days. Are you still a frightened man, Mr. Jasper? I think everyone's frightened of something. Are you? Not most things. Would you describe yourself at present as being a frightened man? To a certain degree. Has anybody spoken to you in prison about this case? No. No? No. Sure about that? What? Other inmates or staff? Inmates? No, not at all. What about why you've been at court? Has anyone talked to me about it? Yes, downstairs. No. Nobody? Just the person that the judge sent down. That was the lawyer. The lawyer. You have not been threatened at all? No, not at all. Is that right? Is that what you say? I wonder whether the Crown might just have 5 minutes to take some instructions? Yes, but only 5 minutes. My lord, thank you very much for the time. It has provided fruitful. I have no further questions, thank you. Yes, Mr. Parkins? Mr. Jasper, going back to the night that you went with this man into this lane, I'm not going to take you all the way through it again. You was asked by my friend about what the man was wearing when he got out of the car. You remember you told us that he was wearing a tracksuit top and bottoms and gloves. They are those hospital type of gloves that you described earlier, are they? That's right. What you were not asked, what was he wearing on his feet? Trainers. Now moving on from that night, tell the jury this. Before you returned in January 1996, was the visit you had made to that precise location in Rettendon the only visit? Yeah. The visit that you told the jury you went on was clearly in darkness. That is correct. Finding your way, of course, by the use of the car headlights. and whatever light there was, yes? And a bit of direction. Direction from whom? From the passenger. You were asked many questions about the first time you took the police there, on the 15th of January. I would like you to tell the jury this. What time of the day or night was it? Dark or daylight? Daylight. You twice, I think, used an expression, including the words, getting your bearings. Probably. With the police officers in that vehicle. Is that what you were trying to do? Yeah. Did it make it any easier, the fact you were now in an area, in daylight, as opposed to somewhere that you've been in the dark? Yeah. It is a bit easier, but you were concentrating on what you'd answered on this particular area about Rettendon, is that right? Yeah. Because of the dark, it's like you just look for certain things stick out in your mind. And the place at which you ended up with the police officers, is that the spot at which you'd ended up with the man on the night that you'd been talking about? By down the lane by the 2 gates. Say again? Down the lane by the 2 gates. Again, of course, I cannot ask you anything that has been said between you and the man. I do not go anywhere near it. When you were talking to the police in January about this matter, I think you told us you did name the names of the people involved. Is that right? That's right. Why did you do that? Just tell the jury why you named names as opposed to making up names. Well, because it's not made up. Because it is not made up. Unless your lordship has any questions? No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jasper. You heard from William Jasper. He told you he attended as a result of a witness summons. In January 1996, he was seen by the police in connection with matters affecting him, and he was interviewed. He gave the police oral and written accounts of matters he'd been involved in at Rettendon. He gave a detailed account, but it was hard to remember where he was. He said he did not know Michael Steele or Jack Womes, had never seen either of them before, or had any association with them. The day before he gave evidence was the first time he knew he might be required to come here to give evidence in this trial. In cross-examination by Mr. Lederman, he said he'd been arrested on the 15th of January 1996 in connection with another matter. He said he was an associate of major criminals, sometimes concerned with major robberies and drugs, including cocaine. The drugs involved sums of £300,000, that sort of amount. The criminals were those who had no inhibitions about shooting each other if they fell out. He wrote the statement at Forest Gate Police Station. He would prefer in court not to name the names he had previously named. The question as to whether he was frightened of them. He said, "You could say that is the reason. I prefer not to name them." He said he would not have described them in a full statement about killing if it was not correct, because to do so, it could happen that he could almost inevitably be shot. He told you that he took police officers on a journey once or twice, and it was he who directed them. The route was at his direction. He had taken that journey before. He was pointing out to the officers that route for something that he was a witness to. At that time, he was in a stolen car, a Fiat Uno, and there was a man with him in the car with a holdall. In the holdall was a pump-action shotgun and a handgun. He looked in the holdall during the journey. The holdall was taken by the person down a country lane. The person went over a gate into a field and returned with 2 holdalls. He was not able to say whether both holdalls contained anything. They were put on the floor in the passenger side. He then drove back towards Essex in the Woodford direction and dropped the man in a wine bar. He was paid £5,000 for doing that. He had been asked to do it a week or maybe less before. He was not prepared to name the person who had asked him, and he was not prepared to name the man in the car. The passenger on the journey out in the back was wearing hospital gloves. He had not seen the contents of the holdall when he set out. He saw the contents halfway through the journey when the passenger got out to meet someone. He said he was in the Upminster area around about midnight or sometime an hour before or an hour after. So at that stage, he was giving himself a 2-hour bracket, either an hour before midnight or an hour after. He said having agreed to do the drive, he did not know the purpose of the journey. When the man returned to the car in the lane, he got in the passenger side. They had gone over a bridge, but he did not know which bridge. He thought it was a couple of minutes away, or a minute. He looked at Exhibit 3, the plan, and saw on it a route left into Rectory Lane. He was asked if that was where he took the police, and he said it was possibly so, but he could not remember if it was that bridge. There was a give way sign. He was supposed to give way, but he did not, and his passenger was very unhappy. As to the date, he said he could have told the police that it was the end of November or the beginning of December. It was unusual to name names. In cross-examination by Mr. Monday, he said he did not know the defendants at all and had no contact with them before that day. Before the night drive, he had never been to the area at all. He could drive from A to B and not know the area. He was not lost, and he knew he was in the area of Rettendon on the way back. He said he was shown a map by the police to see if he could point the place out, but he could not remember it, and he could not remember if he did point it out. He could not remember pointing somewhere out at all. He had read in the papers of the killings of 3 men in a car, and the papers had said Essex. Howell Green did not ring a bell, but it might be that Howell Green was the place he pointed to. He remembered a garden nursery and a car sales place. Then again, as to the time he was asked, about the time again, and he said he arrived there around about 12ish, midnight, but he could not remember what day of the week it was, and whether it was a weekend or weekday. He probably knew the A127, but he was not good at reading maps. He looked at the Rettendon Turnpike on the map and said, "We went past this at first because I couldn't get my bearings." We turned around and went back to the Rettendon Turnpike. He was looking for certain objects to get his bearings. He did not say, "That farm must be round here." It was the policeman who said that. He had other problems in his head, and he was thinking about other things, not just this. That time he told the policeman to turn left, the nursery rang a bell, but names did not ring any bells. I don't know if Ritchie Lane was the lane. There were gates on both sides, opposite each other. As to the gate on the left, you had to leave the road to get to the lane, and the man climbed over the left gate. I turned round and waited half an hour, or 3/4 of an hour. The time was getting on for about 1 o'clock. As to whether there were houses at the bottom, he thought there were, but he did not drive that far. It was a few feet to the gate, and there was a field the other side of the gate. He could not see what was on the other side of the field. He had taken drugs himself, but he did not see what they had to do with it. He was talking of taking drugs that night. He said he admitted he had a snort of coke before he arrived at the gate. He said maybe the passenger had a snort of coke. He at first said he was not prepared to say if the man snorted the coke, but then told that was what he told the police, that it had happened. He said the man did snort coke that night. The man did it more than once before he got out of the car. The man was wearing tracksuit tops and bottoms and gloves. Mr. Jasper said he was arrested for something else entirely than this. He was now in prison. He was prosecuted for offences for which he'd been arrested, and he was not really worried about these offences. As far as he knew, the man was not arrested for anything and was not in trouble. He had not told anyone else anything what had happened that night. He had first mentioned what happened that night to get an easier time from the law, and he was hoping to get something out of it to get an easier time. After he was interviewed, he was kept in a police station a couple of days. After that, he was not arrested or prosecuted for anything that had happened that night. He agreed he knew what a gun sounds like. He said he was awake in the car while waiting, but he did not hear any gunshots. He said he was possibly aware that a record was made of what he had said at the police station, and somebody told him that the documents were going to be disclosed to the defence lawyers. He was told what was going to happen a few months back, possibly earlier, in 1997. He said he was not frightened of most things, but to a certain degree, he would describe himself as a frightened man. He had not been threatened. In re-examination to Mr. Parkins, he said the passenger was wearing hospital gloves and trainers. The visit to Rettendon was his only visit, and it was done in darkness. The directions came from the passenger. He was finding his way by way of lights at night. It was daylight on the 15th of January, and it was easier with daylight than dark. When he spoke to the police in January, he did name some people, because his account was not made up. Members of the jury, that was his evidence in relation to what he said. He did a date that he did not identify, and at a time which he gave as about midnight. But you remember, first of all, said an hour plus or an hour minus. It is a matter for you what you conclude in relation to that witness. You are aware, of course, there is no evidence from a pathologist or from a doctor who attended at the time of death, and that evidence may be partly directed to suggest a time as around midnight. You will remember the other evidence as to the occupants of the Range Rover, that they were all going out that night to dinner in Romford, and you remember the note which Tate had left, as to which there is an admission. The evidence of Diana Evans, Donna Jaggers, being taken to buy a new dress for the night out. You will also remember the evidence in relation to the two passengers who were not driving in the Range Rover, of their contact with their own mobile phones, one with it between his legs and the other having his middle finger through the lead to it. Equally, you'll remember the evidence of the scientist of the mobile phones throughout that evening, up to midnight and thereafter. It is entirely for you to judge the evidence of Mr. Jasper, to see where it takes you, but you will want to take all the evidence into account in that case, just as you will want to take all the evidence into account in relation to the conclusions you come to on other evidence. Again, you do not take against Mr. Jasper just because he is at present in prison and deals with his evidence of his character in relation to his association with other criminals. You look at his evidence when he starts giving it entirely objectively, and he comes before you just the same as any other witness. It is for you to make your mind up about it.